Welcome to the Seriously podcast. I'm your host, Annalise Gann. Now let's get into it. Welcome to the Seriously podcast, where we make light of serious conversations with really interesting people. Today on the pod, I'm joined by Brooko Moves. Brooke is a seasoned Australian journalist and millennial navigating the realities of today's property market. I'm so excited to talk to Brooke today because she has some incredible insights as to what is happening in the property market in Australia right now, especially Perth. So I can't wait to get into it. Brooko, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming in. I'm so excited that you're here.
It's gorgeous to be here.
Oh, honestly.
Minus the weather. It was a wet drive-in, but it was worth it.
I know, it is. I just want to, touch on a few things today, but mainly you're a self-confessed millennial who is trying to get into the property market as a female on a single income. I guess, it's a really cool thing because I think it's very relatable. A lot of women are trying to do it at the moment. Where did your property journey start?
Well, I was in Sydney for 7 years. Very expensive to live in Sydney. And I thought, I'm not really getting anywhere. Career-wise, great. Social-wise, amazing. I thought, I've got no chance of getting a house in Sydney, even if I moved way, way out west, still way out of my budget. And I thought, I'm kind of sick of Sydney anyway. I'll get myself back to WA, see if I can afford a house over there. Obviously, when I got here, early last year, I was like, oh my God, property prices this year have gone nuts. It's out of control. And I sort of thought, you know what, I'll just give myself, a decent amount of time. I'll save up. And I have been living with my parents, so I've been able to save, probably 90% of my income and have very low living expenses. And I saved a fair bit in my first probably 6 months or so. And I thought, I feel like I've got a healthy little deposit going on now. And I started going to inspections and talking to agents. And the houses I was going to were not nice houses. I was going to apartments and, you're just seeing these places and they're going for, $500,000 and you've got one bedroom and you've got windows that you can't see through and there's shit all over the floor and the walls and thinking, bloody hell, there's no chance, I don't want to even, the money that I have saved, I don't want to put it into this shit box. Anyway, I guess that's where sort of the idea for our channel came from. My partner, he's a cameraman and I have a creative background as well. So we thought, why don't we actually make a bit of a series out of this? So that's been the silver lining of the whole situation. But yeah, I guess the further we've gone along, the more, jarring it's been in the grim reality of me actually being able to afford a house in Perth at the moment. It's not going well.
It is a grim reality for a lot of people. At the moment, the Perth median house price is 780,000 Australian dollars. And the annual growth at the moment in Perth this year alone has been, in the first 6 months, 24%. So I can understand where you're coming from as to how hard it has been, even coming from a big city such as Sydney, coming back and being okay, what can I do with my money? I guess I wanted to talk to you a bit about some of the challenges you've faced over the last year and a half of being here. Going to these properties, I guess you were talking about, some of them, by seeing on your YouTube channel, some are very derelict, some are run down.
To put it politely.
Some of them are falling apart. Some of them are an hour out of the city. What has been the most, the hardest thing of this journey for you in coming to terms with, this is where I'm putting my money if I do? Or have you just thought maybe I just need to wait a longer time? What do you think about that?
Well, there's sort of been two sides of the camp. A lot of people say, get in now. The prices are only going to go up more. They're crazy now. They're going to be even crazier in 5-10 years' time. And there's sort of this time pressure on oh my God, maybe I do need to rush and buy something that doesn't have a ceiling, I just need to buy whatever I can now and figure it out because time's running out. But then more recently, I guess there's been people who are do you know what, wait till late 2026, early 2027, things are going to come back around and there's going to be a slump and, just hold on and your moment's coming sort of thing. And I guess it's been, confronting and confusing to be sort of like in the midst of that. And it's like decision paralysis, like completely. And everyone who I speak to agents and financial experts and, people from all, from all over the place, like even other people that are going to these inspections, and I'm trying to pick their brains on what their plan is. And everyone seems right. Like everyone's got their plan and everyone's got their advice that's working for them, or, and agents obviously have an agenda and that's their business, but it's so confusing and you just sort of don't know what the right choice is, and everyone's got their own individual circumstances that they're working with. But yeah, it has been like, God, so jarring. Like we went to one property where you cannot do the full inspection without dry reaching the entire way around.
God.
Just from the pure
smell.
Just from the stench of it. It was like I can still like smell it in the back of my brain. Like it's going to stay with me probably forever. And this was a place that had no floors, barely any ceilings. There'd been a fire that had ripped through it. It was rank and it was covered in asbestos.
How much was it?
It was going for $450 plus.
Right.
And I think it sold for that, if not a bit more. And yeah, like that's just one of like countless other stories that we have of, so many other places that we've been to. And yeah, it's honestly, it's kind of, it's really depressing, but it's nice that we've got the video series aspect of it. So like when we do find these like really derelict places online, we sort of think, yes, like this is going to be great content.
Yeah.
We've got like, a bit of like a positive spin that we can put on it. But if I was like genuinely, like if we didn't have that, I think I'd be pretty sad. Like I'd be pretty depressed. So
yeah, you've definitely garnered a following. I think your YouTube has like over 2,500 followers and your Instagram is over 8,000 followers now. So it's building.
It's climbing. Yeah. We've been doing it for, I think, maybe just over 6 months now. And yeah, it's like grown so rapidly and we've learned so much along the way about, what the audience is responding to, and we get a lot of feedback, a lot of criticisms, a lot of boomers being quite nasty to me, but I've got a thick skin, so it's fine. It's all part of it. You would know, like, engagement is engagement. So even if people are a bit nasty, you can be, oh, well, at least they've commented, if they're being body shaming me, I'll be like, thank you so much for the comment.
Yeah, you will get that as a woman. We can't do anything right.
Exactly.
Speaking of that, I have gone through my own property journey. We were talking off air regarding being a female, single income, applying as a single person, buying their own property. What are some of the challenges women face in Australia buying their own property, do you feel?
So off the bat, women obviously get paid a lot less than men, which is, we can go into it, but we won't. But yeah, so I guess
we'd be here all day.
We honestly, all week. But yeah, so like from the get-go, I've got less money coming in, statistically speaking. But even like I've gone to like countless house inspections and typically the agents are all men. I think probably all of them have been men. And mostly lovely, but along the way there has been experiences where we rock up to an inspection and I'm very much leading the charge. Even before we started the video series, like I'm straight in, I'm introducing myself, I'm asking all the questions to this male agent, and they, are avoiding eye contact with me, and they are just like defaulting to addressing my partner. Like I'll be asking a question and he'll be answering it directly to my partner, and I'm sort of standing there like, hello, like I'm the one with the money in this situation. Not that I've got much of it, but I'm sort of, I feel like in that situation, like, yeah, it's very clear, like the sexism, I guess.
Yes, yeah, it exists in property.
It's so blatant as well.
Yes, it is,
like, and it's almost like, how are you not seeing what you're doing now? It's just like must be such an automatic thing for a lot of men to just immediately go to the male and just assume that it's the man who's got the money and the one that's sort of like the assertive decision maker.
Yeah.
So it's always offensive, and it's always, as thick of skin as I do have, it always hurts, and it's always, it always makes you feel a little bit like less than and a little bit othered. And yeah, it's not nice. And we always get to the car afterwards and we have a big bitch about the agent. And then I think of all the things I should have said. And I was like, oh, next time it happens, like I'll say this or I'll stand up for myself and I'll point it out. And I never do, because it's always so like confronting in the moment that you sort of freeze up and you're like, oh, it's not worth it. Then he'll feel awkward. And then you sort of like, putting their feelings for your own, which is again, another female thing to do. So,
yeah. No, it definitely exists. Yeah.
It's difficult.
Can we talk about boomers?
Please, my favourite.
So, yeah, I know, this is one of your favourite topics. My parents are boomers. I love them to bits. They're on the younger end of the boomer trend. Yep. They like to remind me of that. Of that. So back when my parents bought a house, it was a lot more affordable and the wages were similar to what they are now. So we've seen house prices increase, wages really haven't increased since the 80s. What do you have to say on that? And what has been some of the feedback of like the boomer generation that they've said to you?
Yeah, so essentially, and please no one be nasty to me if I get this wrong, but for them, essentially a house was 3 or 4 times their annual salary. And for us, like today, it's upwards of 10 times our annual salary.
Okay. Yeah.
And so it's taking us, a decade longer to save for a house that we would have been able to snap up in, easy enough, like back in the day. And what I've noticed is I think I've done a lot of work on my parents. They're the younger end of the boomers as well. I think like through my own learning and like my conversations with them, they have sort of, I reckon, like changed their perspective on it, because originally they were like, and like our earlier videos reflect this as well, they were like, we worked really hard, we sacrificed a lot, and, it took us a really, really long time before we could buy something, and then even then we had to sacrifice a lot, and we went without the expensive holidays, and, we didn't have, luxury items or anything like that, and all of that is obviously true, and they are really, really hard workers, and people of that generation, they did sacrifice a lot, and I know they had crazy interest rates, and it was really difficult, and I have full respect to that. But and now it is like, not only do we have those same challenges, but it's like tenfold
exacerbated. Yeah, and the inflation rate.
Inflation's out of control, and even if now, so we've got these new like government schemes where technically I could get a mortgage on a home that's worth like 850 grand.
Oh, wow.
But the repayments on that would absolutely bankrupt me. So that's why sort of like the government schemes haven't necessarily been a huge help in terms of like being able to afford to have a house and live. But anyway, back to the boomers, my favourite topic. The other side of the camp is like, they're like, look, the only way my kids have been able to get into the property market is because I've given them a fat stack of cash, I've given them 50 grand, I've given them 100 grand, or, there's been a death in the family, they've lost a grandparent, and that's been able to give them a really good deposit on something. So yeah, there's a lot of boomers are really empathetic and willing to sort of come to the table, and they know that the only way their kids or people, millennials are going to get into the property market is if they do have help, some of my friends have had access to like an early inheritance sort of setup, and that's allowed them to get in now. But yeah, it's kind of like my personal mission to try and change the mind of the boomers that are still like, no, like you need to just like work harder. Like, I already work a full-time job, and I've got like, we get a tiny bit of money from the video series, but like we're working like really hard. Like I think people think because like I show up online with like this, this kind of facade where, well, not, I'm just sort of like mucking around, I guess, that I'm not also like working really hard, and I have like, I've had a career I went to uni and been working for the last decade, and, I feel like I have like put in the hard work and done like all the right things that they tell you that you have to do to be like successful. And, that's sort of like what a lot of boomers default to is like telling me that I'm not working hard enough, I'm not doing enough, like stop complaining, get out there and, work. But I'm like, there's only so many hours in the day,
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and I still I'm such a I think like a lot of people have had their challenges with like mental health and mental illness, and I'm no different. And so to me, having a life that I can enjoy is really important to me, because if I have a low quality of life, then life's kind of not worth living. Do you know what I mean? So that's another reason I don't want to get stuck out in a dungeon that's like an hour and a half out of the city, separate from my family, my friends and my community, and just for the sake of having a house at the end of the day, being able to say, I'm a homeowner, I'll be depressed.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a tough one.
Well, you did a video that went kind of viral. It was priced out of your own hometown, Dardanup, where I'm from as well.
I can't believe that. That's crazy.
I know, Dardanup just produces the best talent.
The Darda girls are taking over, honestly. Look out, world. We're coming.
Brooke said she used to ride her horse down my street. So I was like, that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, that was like our back route to get into the town. And
I might have been riding next to you.
The school oval.
Yeah, I might have been on my horse. Who knows? But
that's how we did it back then. Back in the good old days.
We didn't drive cars. No horseback.
Yeah, no cars in Dardanup.
So times have changed, but rural prices as well in Australia, they've increased by 9% in WA. I'm talking, not overall. What about I guess you're looking for a type of property central to Perth, I'm guessing. What kind of property are you looking for? Like, would it be in the city? How many bedrooms are we speaking?
Even though I do sound like I'm picky, like the boomers will say I'm too picky, but I'm really not. Like, I really just want something that has a ceiling, like has a working bathroom and like some walls. Like, I'm honestly not picky. Only thing I like maybe I'm the pickiest about is like my partner does work in the city and he's like refusing to commute for like hours and hours and on end every day to get to work.
Yeah, not going to ride a horse to Dardanup every day.
No, and I'm like, come on.
On the freeway.
Now's you need to step up. And
get your carriage ready.
Yeah, I'm like, it's not about you, it's about me, so... Anyway, so for that reason, I kind of need to be a little bit central. Also, I'm a first home buyer, which means if I do make use of the first home buyer scheme, I do need to live in the property for 6 months. So it does need to be somewhere where we can actually base ourselves for at least 6 months. So yeah, obviously that's got to be, I would love it to be like closer than 1 hour from the city, but who knows if that's even possible. But if we're talking like my dream property, I really want a 2x1 little small, humble little shack, I guess. That's maybe 15 minutes from the beach, and it's got a little bit of a front yard, a little bit of a backyard. I'd love some chooks, and we've both got a dog, so just enough space for the dogs to hang out. And honestly, apart from that, I'm not that fussy. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's a low bar. I feel like 5 years ago I would have been able to snap one up like that. So
yeah,
but yeah, who knows? If anyone has seen a property like that,
I was going to say,
around, let me know.
If you want a letterbox drop, do it on the podcast, because people might be listening and might be in the market to sell.
Well, you've heard, and also I've got a budget of under 500 grand at the moment. So if we could make that happen.
Let's talk about your deposit, because you did have the deposit and your dog broke their leg.
He did.
I'm sorry about that. So you had to use some of your deposit for the vet.
I did, yeah.
How did that go down?
Look, I mean, I didn't want to... We needed to fix the leg. Like, we needed to...
Oh, yeah.
Do you not contemplate taking it off?
Like
maybe.
No. A question, yeah.
We needed to fix that. But no, like, honestly, I was glad that I had the money there, and I'm glad I had the ability to, pay the vet bills, and it's still ongoing. His treatment's still ongoing. I've got to take him back every couple of weeks for more scans and whatever. So he's got a titanium plate and screws in it at the moment, holding it all together, and it's going well. His recovery's going well. He honestly, you wouldn't even be able to tell if he's been through anything traumatic in his life. He's doing great. My bank account, on the other hand, it's still recovering.
It took a hit.
It took a big hit. It's going to be recovering for quite some time. So yeah, that did sort of like bump me back on my deposit savings for a little bit. But I've been like bullying my mum for months and months to try and get her to help me out with a house deposit. And it was actually my dog's leg incident that made her think maybe I should help her out. So yeah, she's offered to now bump me back up. So I'm back on track and ready to take on the world.
That's great. From one animal lover to another, I'm glad it all worked out.
Thank you. So I'm trying to I started a feet finder account not that long ago.
I saw that. So that's where you post photos of your feet.
I'll get the hooves up there.
And people were paying you to see photos of your toes.
Well, people is giving plural. There was definitely one person.
Guys, do you still have the channel?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, every now and then, like, someone's like, start an OnlyFans. And I was like, well, I've got a feet finder and I'll link them my feet finder, and then they'll go on and then they'll come to me and complain that I'm not I'm not posting regularly enough. But yeah, anyway, if there's any feet lovers out there, I think it's Brooko Moves Feet is the account, so find me on there.
The other things you've done, you've washed windscreens at intersections. That was quite interesting. A lot of the men were liking you. I mean, you're very pretty.
Oh, stop
but
it,
they were a fan.
That was honestly the most terrifying thing I've ever done. Like, I thought, in my mind, I'll just pop down there and whatever. I'll just, see what the vibe is and whatever. But honestly, you get down there and I actually froze. Like, watching the video, you don't think, like, I'm going through it. But mentally,
you looked great.
Oh, thank you so much.
You should have called me. I would have come with you.
Yeah,
I love that. I love being a peacock.
Yeah, we should. I'll get you involved. But no, there's so much. There's probably about 20 minutes of like footage that I'm just like freaking out, like next to the road, like too shy to go into the middle. But honestly, like once I got into the swing of it, I was loving it. I was like, who wants their windscreen done? And I think.
How much money did you make?
Yeah, I think I ended up making about $15, like $15 or $16.
Do you have to tax that, or is it cash?
Well, here's the thing. So I obviously like received it all in cash. I didn't have a little do-it machine, but I gave it to I put it straight back into the homeless community because I ended up just thinking like
so nice.
I honestly don't need $15. Someone else is going to benefit more from that than me. So yeah, I just sort of there's a lady down there all the time, so I gave it to her. But yeah, it was confronting experience. But yeah, we've done like quite a few other things. Went out and did like whippersnippering, which was one of our first bigger videos. Yeah. Out on the outskirts out there, and yeah, that was honestly ridiculous. Do you want a story about that day?
Yes, give me a story.
So this was like, I reckon this was the first time that we actually went out for like to film a full episode. This was probably like our second one. And so we didn't really know what we were in for. We didn't really like now we're so prepared. We have a full esky, we take drinks, we're like, it's like a day's work, But back then we were just like, we'll just figure it out as we go along. It was fine. It was like a 40-degree day, so hot, and we were out in Armidale. So it is like, there's not a lot of trees out there, and it's like it's barren, a lot of concrete. And yeah, so we went out there, and I've got my whippersnipper in the back, and we've got this big fuel tank. Not big, just like a regular fuel tank. And the whole drive out there, we didn't realise, but it was like bubbling over from the heat. And so all of this fuel was spilling out. Oh, and it was so disgusting. The smell of the fumes, like we were going so loopy.
So you were getting high accidentally?
100%. And because my partner was filming me in the car, so we had to have the windows up and the aircon off. And so he's like, tell me this, like talk about this, whatever. And I'm just thinking, I can barely like say my name right now. I'm completely losing it. I'm not here mentally because of the fumes, and it was such a I got this small car. Anyway, and it was boiling hot. We were out there for hours, probably I reckon 5 hours. We were out door knocking every single street, like driving around. And so many, it was actually awful because we didn't have the backlog that we have now to show people, oh, we're a channel, you know, I've got this series, blah, blah, blah. We didn't have any of that. And so people are just like, no, piss off. And I'm like, fair, like that is so fair. But yeah, we were door knocking. Eventually, like, came across this lady, thank goodness, and she was like, oh yeah, that's fine, no worries. And I was, I was like, do you know what, I'll do it for free because I just feel, you know, it's been so long and we'll just, you know, and also, I don't know, I've never used a whippersnipper before, so I'm learning on the job.
Yeah.
Anyway, we were getting nowhere and we were feeling both really sick, and eventually we came up to Lee, who ended up being in that video that went really big. Thank God, he was such a nice sport, and we were like, can we film this? And he's like, oh yeah, do whatever. And once we got him, we were like, thank God, we can finally, you know, clock off for the day. But yeah, so that was like the main, that like reel, I think it was, with Lee in it. And I've got my short skirt on and I'm getting hit by all the grass, and we've definitely both got heat stroke. That was sort of the video that sort of like, we got, I reckon, 3,000 followers like overnight.
Oh, wow.
Almost from that one alone. And then from there we started thinking, okay, like we can do this, like we just gotta, you know, keep getting out there and just, yeah, but it's like, it was genuinely really hard work.
I love that. What I want to talk about, sugar daddies.
Oh, my favourite.
The ones that are reaching out to you saying they'll look after you. She's taken. Go on the feed page and donate.
Yes, so funny. So I was like, you know, the other day I was like, do you know what? I'm going to start replying to these guys, and I'm going to see, like, because they're like, oh, what would you do if I gave you $5,000 like today? And it's obviously a scam, but I was like, I want to see how this works.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see what you little, you know, devils are up to. And so I think there was probably 3 that I was like chatting to, and this is just over like one day. I was just like, you know, had a bit of free time, so I was getting the digits going. And I got to the point where one of them like needed me to download Telegram to talk on there. And obviously now I know Telegram, you can't, like, you don't need like your name or your number for that. Anyone can have Telegram, which I didn't really know, but I was like, yeah, I'll get Telegram, whatever. Give you all my details. Anyway, and then so, yeah, I got to the point where I was like, you know, when I was asking them, like, how am I actually going to get paid? Like, how does this work, you know? And they were like, sending me big essays, like, don't worry, sweetie, we'll take care of you. Like, if you, like, are nice to me, like, I'll be nice to you and we can just have a nice, close friendship. And I'm thinking, great, like, I'll message you if it's going to, you know, like, replace my full-time income, essentially, is what you're saying. Anyway, and then got to the point where I even created a PayPal account so I could give them my PayPal like ID. I was really committing to the bit there. And yeah, and then essentially they, all 3 of them ended up having the exact same tactic where they sent me an email with like a receipt of like a big payment into my PayPal.
Yeah, but it logs you into your PayPal, so they take money from your account.
Well, they were just so, I don't know who falls for this, but they were like, you just need to click on the link and then buy a gold card voucher or something random, and that is what's going to release the funds into my PayPal. I was like, get real. Who is falling for that? I guess some people probably do.
Yeah.
But it does, like, when I got the email, it was like all obviously PayPal branding and blah blah blah. But it was from an email address that was not PayPal. So I was like, anyway, I was just, you know, curious to see if there was like, maybe there was like one part of me that was like, maybe this is legit. Maybe I can be a sugar baby full time. Like, that'd be great. And all the stuff I could get up to in my free time would be amazing. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah.
Yeah, well, you tried.
I gave it my absolute best.
You really did.
Yeah.
Brook, what's next for you? Like, what is your 5-year plan? Like, what would you like to see for yourself and your partner in the next few years?
Okay. Well, I think in my ideal world, we go global. We take over the whole world. No, I think like we'd both like to just really keep continuing with the series and seeing like we've got a lot of brands and companies that have reached out in sort of like both the finance and the property space who like seem like keen to work with us. And so I think we really just want to like maximize both of our like skill sets, I suppose, and see how far it can take us. And yeah, just sort of, I think we'll probably just like learn more as we go along and at one point become absolute millionaires.
I love that.
And I'll buy a house, obviously. That's probably what I should say.
Yeah, that is the goal, right? No.
That is literally the entire point of the whole thing. But now I'm kind of like, you know how I was saying like a lot of people are like, oh, just wait till late 2026, early 2027. So I'm like, not that I've got any choice, but now I'm like, maybe I will just wait until then and maybe, I don't know, try and learn about investments or something, you know, like stocks or something in the meantime. And I honestly don't know, Annalise. I'm just figuring it out as we go along. But
yeah,
we want to be rich.
Love that. Don't we all? Wouldn't that be so nice?
Honestly. Is that too much to ask?
Do you want kids?
Not really. Not really at the moment. Mm-hmm. No. I've never had much of a like maternal sort of instinct. Like not to say I like dislike kids or babies or anything, but I don't know, yeah. At the moment I don't see myself as wanting them anytime like super soon. But things could change, who knows?
That's good from a property point of view because the less dependence you have, the more you can borrow.
Oh, is that right? Mm-hmm. I've never even looked into it, but
yes.
I'm being financially savvy once again with that one.
Again, you're on top of things. Brooke, where can people find you?
All right, so Instagram at Brooko Moves, TikTok at Brooko Moves, and YouTube, shocker, at Brooko Moves. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the pod. You've been amazing.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Anytime. Thanks, guys, for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week for another guest. Bye.